Hello aspirants, it's a pleasure to be resuming back now. I hope it would go on regularly. It all depends on the cooperation of my baby girl who has been born on 31st of March. Thank you for all the congratulatory messages too and all the support. So looking at current affairs for 5th of April, the news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 10. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, panel to probe CBSE question leaks. So we have been hearing about the CBSE question paper leak and the re-examination which has been scheduled. So now the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Ministry of HRD, which is the Education Ministry, has constituted a high-power committee to examine the conduct of examinations for 10th and 12th standard. So to prevent future question paper leaks, steps need to be taken, and this is the committee formed headed by retired Secretary of Higher Education Vinay Sheel Oberoi. So this 7-member committee will revisit all aspects related to security checks built into the system to ensure that the question papers reach the examinees without tampering. So what are the potential weaknesses in the present system of transporting question papers from the printing press to the examinees would be looked into, and possible ways in which the system can be made more secure, even with the use of technology and minimization of human intervention. So we had seen some initiatives taken, though it had resulted in glitches too. One initiative was that the question paper as such with an encrypted key would be provided at various centers before the examination, and then the center would have the responsibility to print all the question papers. So of course there were glitches in this too, but this is how technology in one way was used. So this is there. Another we had discussed, another issue, point which we had discussed regarding this was that why there is so much stress on one particular examination which happens at the end of the academic year. Rather, if there is a continuous evaluation and a series of examinations, then the pressure which the students face and this high risk and high security required in this one examination can be minimized. So this is another aspect to it too. So we'll see what this committee comes up with. Presently the news is that the committee has been formed. So these are the details. You can see the panel members mentioned here and what they're going to look into. And this is regarding CBSE. So this conducts examinations for class 10th and 12th, the public examinations, and provides certificates for the same. So it prescribes and updates the courses also. We have seen CBSE is the board which has the NCERT books published for its schools under it. So the affiliated institutions under it have NCERT textbooks. Then next is monsoon likely to be normal. So monsoon 2018 is likely to be normal with zero chance of a drought, according to this private weather forecaster Skymet. So 2018 is expected to be normal at 100%. It will be 100% normal with an error margin of plus minus 5%. So this is the forecast being done. Normal rainfall as such means in India to as such that error margin would be of within 4%. So if rainfall is of 887 millimeter during the monsoon season, then it is called normal rainfall in India. But for farmers, what is important is that in the 4 months of monsoon, June, July, August and September, July and August are the important months because half the monsoon rains are during this period and they are crucial for the good harvest. So that is why this aspect is important. So in this forecast also, it is said that June is likely to receive excess rainfall, but still on an average, there's a 30% chance that the key monsoon months, July and August, will see rainfall below normal. So if July-August rainfall is below normal, then farmers have a cause of concern. So this is there. The official forecaster, national forecaster for the country is IMD, Indian Meteorological Department. So it will also announce its forecast in this month itself. So we'll look into that also when that comes forth. But the forecast as such by all international weather forecast agencies is also that El Nino chances during the present monsoon 2018 are very slim. What is El Nino? We have discussed earlier too. We'll look at it once again over here. So you can see El Nino. It is defined as an abnormal warming of the sea surface temperature in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific. So when El Nino conditions occur, then in India we have weak monsoons. So monsoon deficits take place in southern peninsula and the northeast. So even meteorologists across have agreed that there is no El Nino chances this year. But then even a consensus statement on monsoon will come forth from all meteorologists, including IMD and other Southeast Asian countries soon. So how IMD forecast is also mentioned here. You can see Indian Meteorological Department forecast using communication simulations based on climate conditions at the end of March of the year and extrapolating it. So this is the condition. So how will the future conditions be? Extrapolation is done and the monsoon months forecast is done. Also this data is modified, tempered with based on the actual performance of monsoon in the past. So this is how IMD forecast. Last year India got 95% of its normal monsoon quota. So we had 95% monsoon rainfall occurring, and the June and July months got more than usual quota, while August and September saw a significant deficit. So monthly rainfall also deficit or surplus is also essential for Indian farming. So this is there. So we'll discuss El Nino here. So you can see as it's written, abnormal warming of sea surface temperature in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific. So where is the central and eastern equatorial Pacific? You should know. These are the two monsoons actually shown here, southwest monsoon and the northeast monsoon, which happens during the winter. And this is the monsoon season as such. And then this is the retreating monsoon later. So here you can see El Nino, central and eastern equatorial Pacific. So this is the equatorial, the equator as such. So central and eastern Pacific, and this is the entire Pacific Ocean. So warming of temperatures here. So normal year warming takes place in this region, and here near South America there is cool temperature. But then in an El Nino year the conditions reverse. So you can see the conditions reverse. Here you find warm temperatures and here cooler temperature comparatively. So this reversal of winds results in monsoon deficit here in the Southeast Asian region, including in India. So that is the El Nino here. Abnormal warming of sea surface temperature in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific. So when this occurs, monsoons are weak. So here the conditions are shown. There is also a term called La Nina. So La Nina is actually reversal of El Nino, but then it is not the normal year. It is normal year in heightened conditions. So La Nina is good for monsoon, El Nino is bad for monsoon, and normal year is normally as things occur. So a good monsoon is when La Nina may occur too. So here those conditions are shown, the positive phase and negative phase. So when rainfalls and drought would be reversed in the region. Then next is tit for tat. China imposes fresh tariffs on US goods. So Chinese Commerce Ministry has listed US products, 106 US products which will be subjected to 25% tariff. So this is in retaliation to the tariff which has been imposed by Washington worth $50 billion. So China is now retaliating. A tit for tat is being seen, and Chinese tariff is on US products like soybeans, cars, chemicals, aircraft, etc. So now escalating trade war is being feared here. So US actually took the first step. It listed nearly 1,300 Chinese products worth $50 billion for additional duties. And now China has retaliated. So US tariffs were actually targeting Chinese policy, Made in China 2025 plan. So this policy in which China wants to upgrade its manufacturing industry through internet-based intelligent manufacturing, even covering 10 key advanced sectors. So this is in response to which US has imposed tariffs, and now China has also imposed tariffs on US products. So this is regarding Made in China 2025 mission 2. To give manufacturing a makeover means from a world's factory, China should become planet's leading manufacturing power. It wants Made in China to be perceived now as innovated in China. So that is the emphasis here, and even raising domestic content of core components and materials is targeted. And then you can see innovation fund to sponsor new businesses, etc. is proposed. And these are the 10 key sectors to promote breakthroughs under Made in China 2025, like electrical equipments, IT, aerospace, railways, medical devices, energy saving vehicles, etc., farming machinery. Then next is India, third most vulnerable country to cyber threats. So this is regarding the data which has come from security solutions providers Symantec. So here it says that India is the third most vulnerable country in terms of risks of cyber threats. So cyber threats are many. You can see cyber threats are actually, this global threat is ranked based on 8 metrics like malware, spam, phishing, bots, network attacks, web attacks, ransomware, and crypto miners. Each of these we have discussed earlier too. Some of them we'll look at again. The terminology is here. So this India has now ranked third most vulnerable country. So topmost country which is affected, the most vulnerable is US with 26.61% such attacks taking place there, followed by China with 10.95% attacks, and then comes India with 5.09% attacks. So India is also second most impacted by spams and bots also. And even network attacks, it comes third. Ransomware, it comes fourth. So here you can see the details of this report too. So from 2015 to 17, you can see US had maximum target attacks, then comes India and Japan, Taiwan. Even ransomware detections, maximum are from US, China, Japan, and then India. So this is for the period earlier. So ransomware, it is said, is dominant in countries with higher numbers of internet connected population, like India too. So what is spam? You must be knowing this term by now. It is unsolicited email which is sent in bulk. So such unsolicited email messages are actually spams. So spam messages also occur in India in huge numbers. Then comes ransomware. So ransomware is a malware which attempts to extort money from the computer. So the computer user has to pay money to have his documents which have been logged by this ransomware. Typically the documents are logged or the computer itself is locked, and once you pay the ransom it will be unlocked. So that is the message which occurs. We have seen last year too many ransomware attacks which have taken place. So that is a ransomware. Then bot. Bot is a type of malware that allows an attacker to take control of an infected computer. So when you download a file and it is having some content which can convert your computer into a bot. Bot as in robot. So there are a number of bots which are there, which are controlled by one single user who has infected those machines. So a bot infected computer will then listen to the master. So many people as such fall prey to this too. So those are bots. Their computers become bots. So generally they are also used for denial of service attack, DOS attack, which takes place. So all the bots are made to go to a particular website and the website hangs. So those are called denial of service, DOS attacks, because the server gets so many requests that it fails to function and the website becomes non-functional. Then next is EC backs one seat, one candidate policy. So this is a petition which has been filed in the Supreme Court, which is asking, this is an advocate, Ashwini Upadhyay, who says that the Supreme Court should strike down section 33(7) of the Representation of Peoples Act of 1951. It says this section allows candidates to contest from 2 constituencies at the same time. So this, it says that this is invalid and unconstitutional and should be struck down. So that is the petition's demand, and it wants the Election Commission and the Centre to be directed by the Supreme Court to discourage such steps, like independent candidates contesting parliamentary and state assembly elections. As such, they should not contest 2 seats, 2 constituencies at the same time. So why this is not to be done? Because it may happen that the person contesting 2 constituencies wins from both. So in those cases, he will only be able to take up a seat in one of the constituencies. So the other constituency, then again a re-election is required. So in those cases, when by-elections are required, then there is a cost which is incurred. So that's why Election Commission as such has said that it is part of one of the 22 urgent electoral reforms which Election Commission has recommended also to the Rajya Sabha Standing Committee, Parliamentary Standing Committee. So it has suggested that the candidate should deposit rupees 5 lakh for contesting 2 constituencies in assembly elections, or rupees 10 lakh for contesting 2 constituencies in general elections. So this money can be used to conduct the by-election in the eventuality of he or she relinquishing a seat. So this is the suggestion of the Election Commission. The Supreme Court has presently asked the Centre and the Election Commission to respond as such. The Election Commission's affidavit has already been filed. The center has to respond on it. That whether it needs to amend the law, the Representation of People's Act for this purpose, that what steps the center would take. So the case would come for further hearing in July too. So we'll hear more on this and then. This is regarding the Election Commission of India, the functions of Election Commission. So it conducts elections for the general elections, means for the Lok Sabha as such, the parliament, and also elections for the state legislative assemblies. The State Election Commission conducts local level elections, the panchayats and municipalities elections. The assembly elections at the state level are also conducted by the Central Election Commission, the Election Commission of India. So this is the, it implements the code of conduct, it provides symbols to parties also, it has election duty which it takes care of. Also it gives advice to the president on electoral matters also. And this is regarding the Representation of People's Act of 1951, which provides for the conduct of elections to the House of Parliament and also the houses of legislature of each state. The qualifications, disqualifications for membership of these houses, what are corrupt practices as such, other offences with respect to elections are also listed out, detailed out in this act. The next is India, Japan, US stress keeping sea lanes open. So this was the 9th trilateral meeting of the diplomats from 3 nations, India, Japan and USA. The Quad we have already discussed quite often. It includes Australia also. So here the emphasis is on promoting open seas in the Indo-Pacific region. So they have re-emphasized on this at this meeting as such to the 9th trilateral meeting which took place. Various regional and global issues were discussed. So the last meeting which took place in Feb 2018 in Washington, the Trilateral Infrastructure Working Group had met, and now it has been agreed to continue collaborating on that. And in September 2017 too, the foreign ministries of the 3 nations had met in New York, and here also they had agreed on the open sea policy in Indo-Pacific region. And this you should understand is targeting China. And US-China relations, presently we are seeing the trade war which has erupted, both sides imposing tariffs on each other goods. So this point is also significant in that context, that now freedom of navigation in the South China Sea region is being emphasized on, including the Western Pacific Ocean. So keeping the sea lanes open is essential because we know in South China Sea, China is claiming a significant part of the exclusive economic zone which overlaps with various other countries of Southeast Asia. So South China Sea issue and this Indo-Pacific region issue is of significance and has been discussed quite often. So the 9-dash line you must be remembering, we have discussed that. So this Quad grouping though officially does not mention it, but it is countering China. So China is also building artificial islands in the South China Sea because this is an important trading route, global trading route too. Plus also it has potential resources, including oil reserves. So here you can see the joint statements given after this trilateral meeting, emphasizing on connectivity, infrastructure development, maritime domain awareness, etc. So, and also it is talking of free, open, prosperous, peaceful and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. Then next is Russia UK OPCW meet. So this is regarding OPCW, Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. So this organization took place in The Hague and it was convened at the request of Russia. So Russia is being accused by Britain and USA that it was behind the poisoning of the Russian former double agent. So this we have discussed earlier too. We'll see once again the issue. The ex-spy of Russia, Sergei Skripal, and his daughter were actually poisoned by a nerve agent, which UK claims has been from Russia. So such chemical weapons are actually banned in the globe, in the world. So OPCW is the organization which looks into this, and Russia is demanding that, requesting that a joint investigation takes place. So Russia is ready for a joint probe into this poisoning issue with UK, but UK has dismissed such a suggestion, and that was the meeting which took place actually. And also British Defense Laboratory has analyzed the nerve agent. When Russia asked for the nerve agent details be shared with it, it has not been done. And the British Defense Laboratory said that it could not say whether the substance came from Russia or not. So Russia considers that statement also as a vindication of its denial in this issue. So what was the issue? We'll see once again too. This is regarding OPCW. So the Chemical Weapons Convention, which has been brought into effect, is being implemented through OPCW, Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. So its mandate is to achieve the object and purpose of the convention, that chemical weapons should be banned. So their usage is regulated by it. And this is regarding Sergei Skripal, who was a former Russian agent. And then he had shifted sides, was recruited by Britain's intelligence agency. And he has recently been found dead, poisoned in March 2018 by this nerve agent, which is supposed to be from Russia. Then next is India pips Japan to become second largest crude steel manufacturer. So India has now taken over Japan. It is the world's second largest producer of crude steel in the month of February 2018. The largest steel manufacturer is actually China. More than 50% production of crude steel comes from China for the world. And India's crude production as such has crude steel production increased compared to earlier months too. India is now second since 2015, when USA was second and India was third, but since 2015 India has overtaken USA. And government has also taken various initiatives to promote steel manufacturing, that is pushing local demands, Make in India initiative being taken in, curbs on imports as such, implementation of GST and infrastructure projects are encouraging crude steel manufacturing in the country. Also, a roadmap to achieve 300 million tons of crude steel production by 2030 has been laid down. Will be laid down actually. So this is the National Steel Policy 2017 also, which proposes to achieve this 300 billion tons of steel making capacity by 2030. So details would come forth. That is being worked on by the Steel Ministry. Also, various steel mills which are bankrupt and are being looked into by under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code and the National Company Law Tribunal. So here also quick resolution is expected. So even higher capacity utilization is expected in the future. And this is the detail regarding the National Steel Policy 2017, which you should go through. The most important statement here you can see is regarding achieving steel making capacity of 300 million tons by 2030. Then additional investments, increasing consumption, and also encouraging MSMEs, medium and small enterprises, micro, small and medium enterprises. So that is there. And also technological research, steel research and technology missions. Then next is Microsoft plans to invest $5 billion in IoT. IoT is Internet of Things. This also we have discussed quite often. So over the next 4 years, Microsoft is planning to invest $5 billion globally for Internet of Things. What is Internet of Things? You should understand. So this refers to a network of interconnected sensors and devices like smartphones, connected vehicles, appliances that harness relevant information from massive amount of data collected. So these devices can communicate with each other. So that is the network. So that is called Internet of Things. Each regulating, controlling, communicating with the other. So this IoT, there are various key areas in which research and development, R&D is required, like securing this IoT, it should be secure. Then intelligent services, tools which can be developed for Internet of Things. So all these would be invested in by Microsoft. So that is the news presently. And India would also benefit in this investment. So here you can see the IoT is detailed out to connected devices and physical objects. So they have built-in intelligence, will talk to and monitor each other over the mobile internet for conserving resources, better decisions, increasing efficiency, productivity, etc. Then next is the last news item, call to privatize PSBs grows feeble. So now we have seen private sector banks also have been confronted with various scandals. The ICICI Bank issue and even Axis Bank issue which have come in news, which are private sector banks. Axis Bank is the third largest among private sector lenders. So CBI is also investigating into the governance issues of ICICI Bank, and also RBI has given reports asking Axis Bank to review its decision to extend Shikha Sharma's tenure for the 4th time. So all these things as such have resulted in shifting of focus from public sector banks to private sector banks. We saw the Nirav Modi case, which has highlighted that how public sector banks have been affected and they need to be privatized. So now we are seeing even private sector banks having issues. So even a committee set up under PJ Nayak by former RBI governor. So RBI committee, PJ Nayak committee, had given its report in 2014, in which, amongst other things, it had suggested that government should distance itself from board level appointments in public sector banks. So this recommendation is yet to be implemented because the bank's board bureau has been established, but still you see the appointments are done by the government only. Bank's board bureau is headed by former CAG Vinod Rai. So we have seen that they suggest the names. Shortlisting and selection process takes place through them, but then final appointment is done by the government only, and even many times BBB's suggestions have been rejected by the government. So then it just becomes a recommendatory body. So that's not the objective. So this is one point. Plus this private sector banks issue which is there is this 3,250 crore loan which was extended by ICICI Bank to Videocon Group. So the governance issues here are being investigated into. So what is this whole issue also? We will see. So this you can see ICICI Bank is headed by CEO MD of ICICI Bank is Chanda Kochar. Her husband, his father and her brother's wife hold 50% in New Power. So Chanda Kochar's husband Deepak Kochar is the managing director of New Power, this company, and Deepak Kochar also heads a trust, Pinnacle Energy Trust. So this trust here is connected to Venugopal Dhut, you can see, and it's connected to New Power. So Venugopal Dhut, who is the promoter of Videocon Group, is linked to this New Power company which was founded, and 50% shares are by Chanda Kochar and her relatives. So here this company as such was lent by ICICI Bank. 3,250 crore was loaned out to 5 Videocon companies in 2012. And of this Videocon, it owes ICICI Bank presently 2,810 crore. An account has been declared non-performing asset in 2017. So this is the whole issue. It has been argued by ICICI Bank and Chanda Kochar that this is not a conflict of interest issue, because though the company to which loan was provided is linked, but there it says that at that time Videocon was not an investor in New Power, which is a defensive statement given. Also it says committee which had given the loan, it had many independent directors as such, and loan was given as part of a consortium with terms and conditions, and Kochar had made all the disclosures as per Companies Acts and Banking Regulation Act requirements. But of course this is a concern, which governance issue which has been looked into. And this is regarding PJ Nayak committee, which was set up by RBI, former RBI Governor Vinod Rai, so Raghuram Rajan. So this PJ Nayak committee's recommendations are listed out here, which we have discussed quite often earlier too. And one of them was regarding formation of this Banks Boards Bureau. So this would look into public sector banks functioning and even initially appointments to be done by them. But then we still see that still they are only recommending these. And this is regarding Banks Board Bureau's composition also. So it will have 3 ex officio members from government and 3 expert members, 2 of which will be from private sector in addition to a chairman. And it is said that BBB will not be funded from Consolidated Fund of India. It started functioning from 1st April 2016. Even its tenure of the members is getting over, and there are concerns whether it would be extended or a new set of BBB members would be appointed or not. So government's initiative, reluctance in this matter is also being looked into. So these are the news items. Thank you.